Hello, everybody, and welcome to the weekly Nintendo News Roundup Live, where every Friday night at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, the All-In crew breaks down the week in Nintendo news. Good to see everybody here on youtube.com/allinpodcast. Good to see you, Eric.
Good to see you
Hello,
as well,
sir.
my friend. Very happy Friday to you. Just ignore the extra little thing in the background right
You
there.
had to call attention to it. I mean, I
Ignore
guess
that.
it calls attention to itself, to be fair.
It's a massive white box, but yes, it's a Nintendo podcast, so just ignore that new element of the background. If you're listening to this on the podcast feed, I'm terribly trying to cover up my new PS5 in the background. But yeah, it's very nice to see you, sir. Happy Friday once again. And a very happy Friday to everybody joining us in the YouTube chat. And a very, very happy Friday to our patrons.
That's right. We start every single episode of this by thanking the wonderful friends and supporters at patreon.com/allinpodcast, starting with our Golden Banana Bunch. Thank you to Rob Yapel, Third Strongest Mole, Sean Baggins Ashton, Tim A, aka Neoprime33, aka Nintendo Dad number 4, Matt Shy Guy City Murray, Phelan Ward, Bill Tucker, Marcus O'Neill, Liam D, Bowza, who is in the chat, Whale Hello, Bowza, Gamer Jason, Andrew Wilkins, Foolish Fuji, and Alan #Look to the Cookie. But moving into our Triforce tier, need to thank Josh Vaughn, the godfather of Tingle Love Tuesday, John Datfast Cummins of the Retro Logic podcast, as well as the On Topic Retro podcast, the Globetrotting Jet Set Nintendo Hub, and Sparky of the Nintendo Hub right here on YouTube, Adam Caparello of the Retro Groove podcast, Shy Guy, the other half of our Shy Guy mod squad. Thank you, Shy Guy, Danielina Hosa, Dan and Luma, Solo Something, and the legend himself.
Friday night in human form, Uncle Randy.
Uncle Randy. Thank you very much, Uncle Randy. Thank you very much to all of our supporters at patreon.com/allinpodcast. We really appreciate you all. That's a great way to support the show, obviously. Throw a few bones our way for our hard work. You can also pick up some merch. bit.ly/allinmerch is where to go. Get yourself a shirt or a sticker or a mug. And if you don't have any bones to throw our way, if you're listening to us on the podcast feed, leave us a review. That really helps as well. 5-star, drop some words. Really appreciate it. There is some news to get into this week, Eric. We got some weird ones. I've already had some responses to our thumbnail tonight. We do have a couple odd stories.
So the thumbnail, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, you've already seen it. But if you're listening to the podcast form, the YouTube thumbnail is a picture of the Pokemon promo Van Gogh card, but it's directly a riff on the old like DVD anti-piracy PSAs that you used to see in the early aughts. It was like, you wouldn't jack a car, you wouldn't steal,
Yeah.
Piracy is a crime.
Yeah. And it was funny because I think Bowza put in the Discord, like, the countdown timer for the stream tonight was blocking the bottom because it says you wouldn't scalp a Pokemon card, but it blocked the card part, so it just said you wouldn't scalp a Pokemon. So,
and then an ominous countdown right below that,
yeah. So, yeah, we have
what's all I'm doing tonight? I'm kind of concerned.
It's a little weird. I mean, hey, maybe it drives a few more extra views. I don't know. But in any case, we do have a couple of weird stories tonight to get into.
I'm sorry if you're a psychopath and we've thus far disappointed you with the show in that regard. But yeah, we do have a couple weird stories to get into. We've already, briefly touched on one of them. But, I mean, it's Friday. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's embrace the weirdness as we typically do. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. That, of course, we're referencing the Pokemon Cross Van Gogh Museum collaboration, one of the strangest collaborations in recent memory. If y'all haven't seen this, they're doing like it's in Amsterdam, of course. Opened up this week. It's going on through January 7th of next year. And there's like all kinds of like exclusive merchandise. There's like this Pikachu promo card, which is like, very sought after, of course, and, of course, just like anything Pokemon, and especially Pokemon TCG, the place was immediately raided by scalpers.
Like, it's so bad, man.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It was a really bizarre, like, just on the face of it, the collaboration itself, Pokemon Cross the Van Gogh Museum, was already weird. honestly reminded me of like the whole mayonnaise island in Animal Crossing type thing, with just how out of left field it was. Not saying that, either of those things is bad. Pokemon is amazing. Van Gogh is amazing. But it's not really something you would consider bringing together, I think, for most people. But, based on some of the stuff they were showing off, some of the collaborative artwork, it was like, okay, maybe this could be kind of cool. Drive a lot of younger uh, potential museum goers to the Van Gogh Museum, have some cool merch. Should have been a good time. But then scalpers, unfortunately. I actually saw a video on Instagram, which was completely insane. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it, but if you hadn't, it recalls like the actual fist fights that I would see that used to come up during the Christmas and Black Friday shopping seasons year after year. Well, I've seen all these videos of people hopping over themselves to get the coolest new toy of the season. And this really reminded me of a lot of those. It's just people grabbing through each other, shoving each other out of the way, like physically assaulting each other to grab Pokemon merch. It's absolutely crazy and completely goes against the spirit of the collaboration. Obviously, both in the moment and afterwards, considering we know what they're going to do with this stuff.
Yeah.
Those who were luckily able to beat up the person next to them enough to grab some of it. But like, this should have been a cool, albeit weird little moment. But Pokemon has already had to come out and issue an apology in regards to the event, which is, it's absolutely nuts to me. After the fiasco with all the scalpers basically essentially raiding the Amsterdam exhibit, they said, "We apologize to all the fans eagerly awaiting our Pokemon Center Cross Van Gogh Museum release today. Due to overwhelming demand, all our products from this collection have sold out. We understand this is disappointing to many who are looking to our official email and social media channels for guidance on how and when to purchase. We are actively working on ways to provide more Pikachu with the gray felt hat promo cards for fans shopping at Pokemon Center in the future. Details will be released at a later date." It just happened, and they've already bled the collaboration dry. I was perfectly ready to come on here and just talk about how weird and wonderful this whole thing is, and people had to go and ruin it already. Seth, darn people.
Yeah, that statement even is actually in response to the online store.
Yeah,
Because they had like the Van Gogh Museum collaboration in Amsterdam, and that, got raided, just like you said.
yep,
There's videos out there, it's disgusting and gross. But like they had a online, store merch
yeah,
drop that they were going to do for people who weren't able to attend the event, and that sold out in seconds. And of course there are already all these like multi-$100 listings on
yeah,
eBay and everything.
of
So
course.
it's unfortunate. There's not, I mean, frankly, not a whole lot that that they can do about that. To be honest, like and scalpers are always going to find a way. It's just an unfortunate reality that Pokemon in particular has faced
Huh.
since like 2020, when the pandemic really started in earnest. Pokemon TCG in particular really took off.
Yeah. I heard a recent report that some store had an employee assaulted because they were,
Oh yeah.
you know, transferring Pokemon TCG, like the new 151 set. They
Mhm.
were actually assaulted and had those cards stolen by scalpers. So, like, it's Pokemon, guys. Leave the violence to the Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah. Phelan in the chat, who is the expert on Pokemon
Yes, he
TCG.
is.
Phelan says, "Fun fact: not the first time Pokemon has crossed over with famous classical art. There are Pokemon cards based on the Scream from a few years ago, so that's kind of funny." And then Stingray X is also here in the chat. Stingray says, "This is one of the main reasons I don't collect anymore. Since the pandemic, it's just been worse. It's not worth the hassle." And that's the unfortunate thing, because like Pokemon is supposed, I mean, it reaches such a broad audience, and like it's so unfortunate that not only for the hardcore fans, the people who play the TCG and who do collect, but
Yep.
like I think of even like kids who want to play this game casually and just enjoy it that way. They can't even do that. I mean, I remember like there was a time, especially in the early days of the pandemic, and I don't know if the situation has smoothed over at least a little bit or not by now, but like Elite Trainer boxes might as well have been bricks of cocaine at one point, man. Like they were like, it was serious.
Well, I don't know about the value of a brick, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, I would literally go to GameStop and like some of the employees are like, yeah, like the second I open a box that contains ETBs, they're gone. Like they're, like they don't last the hour. I mean, it's that serious. People just got so into this sort of like card opening culture. What am I gonna pull, and all this
Yep.
stuff. Big YouTubers getting into it. The
Yeah, Logan Paul has the
and,
Charizard around his neck that he wore at WrestleMania, which
yeah.
actually is pretty dope. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Especially when it comes, like we talk about Nintendo merch and the obvious demand, and Nintendo not really producing enough stuff that for the demand they know they're going to have. But Pokemon is just at a completely different level, unfortunately, and all the people who just genuinely want to enjoy this stuff, they're the ones who wind up losing out. You talk about the kids, it reminds me of the Beanie Baby fiasco from the 90s. Like Beanie Babies were also, I mean, they were basically just investments for a long time. I saw kids looking at Beanie Babies in collector shops and the store clerk literally saying those aren't toys.
Yeah.
About literal toys. Listen, I get it.
Man.
I collect action figures and I do understand, but I mean, leave a little bit, guys. Like that's just disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. Like I said, there's not really anything that can be done. It's just it's one of those like unfortunate like side effects of like the human condition. When there is a sought after thing, people are going to scalp it. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it always is. People have been scalping things like concert tickets for, as long as concert tickets have existed. It's always the way.
This is not the way. This is not. Din Djarin would not approve. This is not the way.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate, but we wanted to at least stop and talk about it. It's an interesting collaboration. I actually like the weird it's such a strange one, but I do like the art that they've released for
it.
I do
too.
It's kind of cool.
I want one of those Pikachu in the gray felt hat cards. It's so adorably. I know, but it's so adorably cute. It's I will say one of the things about Pokemon, the TCG, is the art on those cards is just genuinely stunning.
That's amazing.
Now,
yeah,
they are absolutely stunning. Some of the cards that are coming out these days, but I mean, if I also worry that this is going to leave a bad taste in the mouth of other people who were considering similar collaborations with Pokemon or even other Nintendo properties. Not only do we have the first order effects of the weirdness and the frankly disgusting behavior the Scalpers exhibited in regards to this collaboration, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if there were maybe a couple other intellectual properties, maybe a couple other organizations, maybe a couple other places, museums, what have you, that are like, this a little bit too chaotic for us. Maybe we'll pass on it. So I also worry about that. I hope we're not losing out on potentially really cool future collaborations because somebody desperately needed a Pikachu gray felt hat card that badly.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I think that you're certainly going to see like heightened security at future things like this.
Which is such a bizarre thing to say about a Pokemon.
That's going to be a necessity at this point.
It's going to have to be,
unfortunately. But I mean, like, money talks, man. The thing is like from a business perspective, they're still selling out. You know what I mean? So like, I think that money definitely talks. So I don't know, but it's unfortunate either way. There should not have to be like a security detail for a Pokemon release collaborating with a museum in Amsterdam. Like It's wild. It's wild. So
Absolutely wild. But thankfully, not every story that we have to talk about is as violent.
that's true. It doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be violent because we got some pretty big news this week from Atooi. So I think the biggest thing is, I mean, of course, Hatch Tales getting a release date
Yeah.
after like 6 years of development.
6 years.
Yeah.
Like
Finally.
Hatch Tales, for those who don't know, was a Kickstarter that was set up by Atooi back in, again, 2017, I
Mhm.
believe, maybe 2017.
I think that's right.
And it was successfully funded. And unfortunately, development has just continued and continued. Atooi has released a couple games in the stead, well, a couple re-releases mostly, but they have released Pick Tooie and I think one other brand new game. So the Run Box
Run
Run,
box run. Yeah.
yeah, they've released Mutant Muzio Drifter. So there's been releases, but like just this, instead, there was even a Twitter account created called "Has Hatch Tales Released Yet?"
Yep. The biggest thing about this, so the release date is March 28th, 2024. So basically right around exactly 6 months from now. The biggest thing about Hatch Tales is that the Kickstarter, of which I was a backer, by the way.
Hmm.
So I know there are a lot of people who are like angry about this and whatever. But like Hatch Tales was initially pitched on Kickstarter as a port, effectively, of Chicken Wiggle,
Yeah.
from the 3DS onto the Switch. The idea being like, hey, we have like this game that's kind of been sent out to die on 3DS, and now here we are coming into the Switch era, and it only had a budget of I think $35,000. Hang on, let me block this idiot in the chat. Um, we we had like a budget of only $35,000, I think, initially, and then the scale of it just completely changed. They turned it into a new like project, effectively, and I'm not here to like commentate on like frustration or whatever because like I get it, like it's a frustrating situation. Jules is a friend. Jules has been
Yep.
on our show many times.
Multiple times. Yeah.
He's a great guy, but like and the thing about it too is he knows exactly the stakes of everything that's going on. Like he knows that like Atooi has lost so much goodwill with their fans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is all very well apparent. I would rather than be annoyed or upset anymore, I'm so beyond that. Like there was a time where I was there. I mostly just want to like acknowledge like, hey, this is finally something that is it's not vaporware. It's something that at least it has a date. At least there's something we can look forward to. Jules,
Yep.
I'm in their Discord too, and Jules was talking about like they're planning like a big kind of like promotional campaign in the 6 months leading up to launch as well. Of course, they have had to release other stuff to kind of keep the lights on over there. Atooi
Yep.
is like, there's like 2 people working on this game, so like there's situations have changed. I get it. I get the frustration. I get all sides of this. I'm not here to commentate on that as much as I'm here to just say it has a date and hopefully it hits it. And hopefully the game is amazing when it comes out.
Yeah, I hope it is. I really do because I do want to play it. I didn't get the chance to play Chicken Wiggle on the 3DS, and I mean, throughout this whole situation, it's not like they were actively trying to like. They even created a podcast called Atooi Talks, and they specifically, it didn't go very long, but while it was going, they did specifically have a segment during the show to talk about development progress on Hatch Tales and did occasionally show some assets. So,
What happened is like you get me on there one time. The last episode of that podcast was the
that's
one I
right.
was on.
It was. That's
So,
right. It was.
I killed that podcast. Sorry.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It was fun. That was a long time ago too. That was like right when I went full time. Like I think it was before I even officially announced that I was going full time into content creation. So I mean, this has been a minute even since then. So I mean, yeah, like they were making steps and things like, but the thing about it is like all of this stuff is they're puzzle pieces. The situations change, all kinds of things need to move around. You know, and like it's unfortunate, but at this point I'm just kind of like, bring it on. I'm excited to finally have the game. I'm excited for Jules, who, God, I could only imagine, is so ready to get this monkey off of his back,
I'm
dude.
sure. Yeah. I mean, it must feel like a bomb monkey at this point.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Mhm.
right.
That's a terrible bomb monkey is another Atooi game. So that
Yeah.
was, I don't apologize for that pun, but weirdly enough, that's not the only significant Atooi news to come out this week. We mentioned that there's been other releases they've had to push out in order to keep the lights on. Arguably, the most intriguing of those in the past several years was also announced this week. A game that probably couldn't be more different than Hatch Tales, a Tui game from the Nintendo DS. Dementium the Ward coming to the Nintendo Switch in just a couple weeks, October 12th. A
Yep.
DS remake or a Switch remake of the DS cult classic horror game that I'm actually kind of stoked for because
I am
I
too.
really dug it on the DS and perfect time for spooky season. So Hatch Tales and Dementium, two Atooi games right there. Couldn't be more different, but I'll take it.
Yeah, what's cool about Dementium is that game is from before even were a Tui,
Even were Tui,
which
yeah, that was
the Renegade Kid days.
Renegade Kid, yeah,
Yeah.
Renegade Kid.
And the game was published by, I believe, a publisher by the name of Gamecock at the time, who would then become Devolver Digital. So
Yeah.
like it's kind of funny how all these things work out. Atooi now has they got the rights back, I think, a while ago.
Yes.
They wound up porting both that one, the second one, and Moon to the 3DS, and that is the groundwork upon which this is being built. Of course, a lot of things have to change because it's not on a dual screen setup anymore.
Yeah.
So some work had to go into it, but like it looks great. And like what's cool about this is you've kind of come full circle, because the whole like boomer shooter thing is kind of in vogue right now, and this is like a retro aesthetic shooter because it was a DS game. It's a survival horror game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. And again, it's nice amid everything else, regardless of how you feel about it, Tui. I totally get it either way, but it is nice to see him have some good news, to have a release date for Hatch Tales, to have this thing coming out, which looks really cool. It's good to see a little bit of a W, and I hope that they can, to Jules, to Phil over there. Like I hope they can take a little bit of a victory lap, at least a small one until the game's out.
Yeah. Well, I will say, with the way the as vocal as many of the Kickstarter backers for Hatch Tales have been, now that there is a release date, it wouldn't surprise me at all if a lot of the more vocal ones started to become even more vocal in
Oh
terms
yeah.
of like, okay, well, updates, what can we expect? Now this is actually coming out. I paid this. What can I expect in terms of the rewards and the tier and all the stuff like
And
this?
I get
So,
it. I mean,
yeah, so
I
I'm
get
sure
it.
it's going to be a very difficult next 6 months, but weather the storm, Jules.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So here's hoping. I mean, obviously, we're gonna be playing it when it comes out regardless. And
Yeah.
and look, like, if I can just like say a final thing about this, I don't necessarily want to like keep harping on this, but I mean, just speaking frankly, like I said, I've come around the other side of all of this, and like I miss Atooi games. Like, and I liked Pick Tui. I think Run Box Run is like a cute little party thing. But like I miss big Atooi, Mutant Mud, Drifter. I miss
Yeah.
Atooi games, and I can't wait to finally get to play it.
Yeah. I can't.
So.
We can't reveal anything, but Seth and I were actually privy to a very brief glimpse at something that got us very excited, and I miss being that excited about Atooi games.
Can't say anything. Can't say
Exactly.
anything. Eric.
I
Okay.
know.
Let's move on. Next thing we have here, a couple of NSO related stories. First of all, the latest NSO free game trial is Eastward. So kind of
Yes.
a big hit indie darling that has some forthcoming DLC that was announced at the latest Nintendo Direct. So now, if you're an NSO subscriber, you can play the full version of the game for free through until October 3rd. The game is also discounted for 50% off until October 10th. A perfect way to jump in before the DLC comes out.
Yeah, I haven't had I own Eastward. I haven't had the chance to play it, but I mean, when it comes to RPGs, this one isn't like this one. I've been told is more on the digestible side of time management when it comes to RPGs. You've actually played it.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's not super long. I call it the longest short game I've ever played. The game's like maybe like 10 to 15 hours long. I think I'm right around like 12 hours is what it took me. It felt like it was 30. And that's not because the game was bad. But the game has a very slow pace.
Deliberate pace, yeah.
It's very slow. It's got a great story, a great sense of like personality, and beautiful. I mean, some of the best pixel art you'll ever see on the Switch. But it is a very sort of slow paced experience. And I mean, the thing is if you're an NSO subscriber, you can now find out for yourself for
Yeah.
free. Jump in and see.
The reason I was asking about the length is obviously free game trials last a week.
Yeah.
And Nintendo's released games in the past for free game trials that you can more than get what you want out of it within that week. I re-downloaded and replayed through Captain Toad Treasure Tracker on the Nintendo Switch when they released that. They did it for Night in the Woods. They did it for several games that I downloaded. Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I'm sorry, Dragon Ball Fighters is not Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Dragon Ball Fighters I downloaded and played a few online. It was fun. So this is on the longer end. Maybe you won't have 15 hours in the next week to spend on Eastward, but I mean that's kind of how they get you with these game trials, right? They just little taste, hoping you'll come back for more. Because typically what they do with these is they give you a free week trial to the game while heavily discounting the game.
Yeah, 50% off. So
Yep.
you can get it for cheap. They haven't dated. We still don't know when the Octopia DLC is coming out. They were saying that you don't even have to play like the base game to access Octopia. So we'll see like what winds up happening with that. It's supposed to be coming this winter. So it'd be kind of neat if they timed like the announcement of the release date around the same time the free trial was about to end. I don't know if that's what they're gonna do or not, but that'd be cool to see. So
I will say that is kind of smart. Is even if you are able to finish the game itself,
yeah,
just knowing that extra DLC is on the horizon, I'm sure will be enough to move a few copies. Even if you're able to roll credits on the core game, it's like, oh man, there's more coming. Maybe I should just go ahead and pick this up and leave it on my Switch for a month or so until the DLC hits.
smart. Yeah. Hope it does well for him. It's a good game. It's definitely like I'm glad I played it. You should definitely play it. Okay, so we got another this bit of NSO news as well. 5 new tracks added to F-Zero 99, which is kind of a surprise. The game just recently came out. It's not a surprise that they're, updating the game. It's not uncommon for these 99. In fact, there's a Maximus Cup for Tetris 99 going on as we speak. So like that is not uncommon, but for it to get a update this big, this close to release,
a significant content update the week or 2 weeks after the game came out.
Yeah.
5 new tracks into new cup, the Queen's Cup.
Yeah, the Queen League. They have
that was added to Grand Prix mode. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the Grand Prix mode, which is kind of one of the core modes of the game, and they seem like they're going for like a chess motif. So like the first one was the Knight League, and now this one's the Queen League. But they added for the normal F-Zero 99, you now have Mute City 2, Port Town 1, and Red Canyon 1. And then if you play in the Pro League mode, you've got White Land 2 and Deathwind 2. So 5 new courses added to the game.
Yeah, so. And the fact that they are adding, again, a significant amount of content this close to release has me very intrigued about potential further updates. It would be so weird if they released the game, had a huge content drop right after that, and then did nothing. This says to me, this is a game that's going to be getting frequent updates. Maybe not every week or every other week like this is, but this is a game that Nintendo is making it seem like they are getting behind.
Yeah, they're investing in it for sure, and the
Yeah.
game has been very popular. So it's nice to see, and hopefully this means good things for F-Zero. Also, I mean, it's been a big week for NSO because we also got the release of Kirby.
Yes.
Kirby and the Amazing Mirror dropped, which has, full online co-op support. I don't think either of us have had the chance to play yet. Have you?
No, I would love to get a couple of our friends
Yeah.
online this weekend and play 4-player online GBA Kirby co-op in 2023. What even is this year? But I would absolutely love to do that. That's one of the things that a lot of people that just doesn't really register with a lot of people. Yes, there are all these classic games on NSO, but more games than you realize have online functionality. I played Joy Mech Fight online with our friend Phelan in the chat. I played Joy Mech Fight with him a couple weeks ago, and we had an absolute blast. So being able to access all of these old games is cool, but playing them online, like when you and I played GoldenEye online when it came out with a couple of our friends, that was so much fun. And I absolutely want to do the same thing with this.
Yeah, it's cool to have that functionality in there at all. Hopefully, we get the chance to check that out pretty soon. So, big week for NSO, but also a big week for notable releases. There's a ton of stuff that came out this week.
Dude, ton of stuff. And in addition to the NSO drops that we got for F-Zero and Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, we also got a huge free DLC drop that same day for Sonic Frontiers. The final big content update for Sonic Frontiers, the final big adventure, adding new playable characters and all kinds of stuff. That also came out this past week in addition to everything else. That's actually something I'm going to be jumping in and
Okay.
doing this weekend probably. I was actually really excited about that. Sonic Frontiers is the best 3D Sonic game that's come out in a long time, and it'll be nice to kind of put a cap on it, I feel like, this weekend.
Nice. Nice, very good. We had Cocoon just came out, which is a big indie release. I was streaming it here on the channel
Yeah,
earlier today. It's
really
really
looking
good.
forward to trying that one. Yeah,
It's really good. Runs great on Switch. I was a little worried about how that would run on Switch, but it runs great.
good.
So I like it a lot. I'm looking forward to playing through the whole thing. I played it for about like an hour and a half. And yeah, it's really cool. I'm looking forward to playing more.
Yeah, I really can't wait. We've compared Cocoon to like Tunic and Death's Door from
Definitely
previous
feels like
years.
that.
Yeah, it kind
Hmm.
of feels like it's that same kind of weird spiritual lineage. And it was one of those games that when it was announced, it wasn't initially announced for a Nintendo Switch, but it was one of those games that Seth and I was like, oh, it's coming. Oh, it's coming.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Um, but that actually wasn't the only new release from this past week that you streamed, was it, my friend?
Yeah, I stream Paleo Pines. Sean Caprice here in the chat says runs great on TI-83. Sean was in the chat when I was streaming Paleo Pines. The game had to make concessions to run on Switch, people. It's super fun though. I had a great time streaming it the other night. It's a very like cozy, cute farming life sim with dinosaurs. Yes, it has some visual drawbacks. Yes, it runs great on the TI-83, as Sean points out, or the Palm Pilot, whatever you like. Um,
For everybody who lived prior to like the smartphone era, a TI-83 was a very high end calculator, a graphing cal. Do they even have graphing calculators anymore?
oh yeah,
Or is it just an app on your smartphone now? They actually have, like, Texas
I think
Instruments is still in business.
yeah, I'm almost positive. Yeah, yeah,
All right, fair enough.
yeah. They run Doom on it. Like they got Doom running on that thing.
I
So
I had Snake and Tetris on mine. That was all I
yeah.
needed.
Yep, they got Doom running on it. So, but Paleo Pines is really cute. I should say, Modus Games provided us a code for that, so big thanks to them.
Yes.
And again, I streamed it for a while last night, and y'all can check out the VOD for that too, if you like.
Modus very quietly has developed a pretty impressive catalog on the Nintendo Switch. A few games that I really love, them's Fighting Herds and In Sound Mind. You know, we're coming up on spooky season. I really loved In Sound Mind. The Nintendo Switch version also had to make concessions, but it was a great throwback feeling horror game. So Modus Games very quietly developing a very impressive Nintendo Switch catalog.
Yeah, yeah, good for them, man. We also had Infinity Strash Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai. Big thanks, stupid title, but big thanks to our friends at Square Enix who provided us the code for that. I put up a video on the YouTube channel for that as well. I played it for like about an hour on the video. The game's actually fun. I was surprised because like people were really rough on it in the reviews. But it's a fun little game. Like I'm surprised to see like the negative review scores. I think people came into it with warped expectations. It's not like this big sprawling RPG.
It's not Dragon Quest 12.
No, it isn't. It's like a PSP RPG is what I would liken it to. Very simple, kind of like level based, going in mission based sort of Crisis Core, Birth by Sleep vibes. But like it tells a truncated version of the anime that it's apparently based on. So I kind of dug it. I think it's actually pretty fun. So
Well,
I don't know, man.
mean, you guys can find out for yourself. Again, that's another video that's up on the YouTube channel, so go ahead and check that out. I am waiting for Dragon Quest 12. I do hope
Me too.
that comes to the Nintendo Switch at some point. At some point, that would be nice. But in addition to everything else, honestly, of all the games that came out this week, weirdly, one of the ones that I'm most interested in checking out, and this is more morbid curiosity than anything, is just Pizza Possum.
Yeah, I want to play Pizza Possum also. Yeah.
Again, just morbid curiosity. Maybe it's just for the memes. I don't know, but it looks like dumb, stupid fun, and I dig that.
Yeah, it's cheap too. I think it's like $6.99.
Yeah.
Our friends at Raw Fury published that one. I'd like to give it a spin. Maybe my wife and I could play it or something. I don't know. It looks fun. That came out. Disney Speedstorm went free to play this week, which is neat. It's funny.
Took the reverse path of Chocobo GP.
Yeah, I mean, Disney has been doing this. This is the exact same thing they did with Illusion Island. They release the game, they make you pay for the game like for early access. You get like the Founders Pack or whatever.
Yeah.
For an eventual free to play release.
Dreamlight Rally.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Dreamlight Valley is what I meant. Yeah. Dreamlight Valley released, you paid for like the Founders Pack or whatever, and then, I don't know if it has gone free to play yet. It might still be in like that kind of Founders
early
access or whatever. Yeah. But this one, exact same thing. It released like last year, I think, for the sort of Founders, and now it's finally in the full like free to play release.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would be curious to check it out. It's Disney Mario Kart, basically.
Yeah.
So,
and in addition to going free to play, we got to look at some new content, some new Aladdin theme stuff. We got to look at Aladdin, Jasmine, the genie, and Jafar in the game. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like every new character that they add in does make me a little bit more intrigued to try it out. I'm sure it's eventually, especially exactly because it's free to play. I'm sure I'm eventually just going to dip in and be like, oh no, how did I get $150 in the hole on skins already? Oh Lord.
Oh God. Yeah. So that's, that's neat. I kind of want to jump in and check that out. Minico's Night Market finally came out this week. Big congrats to that team. It got a pretty lukewarm reception, unfortunately, critically, but I still want to play it. That team's been working on that game for like 6 years. Like that game has been in the making for a long time. So congrats to that team for finally getting it over the finish line. I'm definitely gonna be curious to play it. It's not on my purview right now, playing a lot of other games, but eventually I would like to pick it up and give it a spin.
I did too. I mean, we've been seeing the game for so long. I'd like to at least find out what the final product feels like.
Mm-hmm. I played the demo for it during a Steam Next Fest. I think that video is on the YouTube channel as well, like a year ago or something. And I really liked it. I really liked what I played. So I'm going to be curious to play the full thing. Speaking of like cozy farming life sim things, Harvest Moon, The Winds of Anthos came out this week as well. Not Story of Seasons, Harvest Moon. So that came out also. I can't even keep up with this series anymore.
I honestly, it feels like they drop another one every 4 months or so. I saw that it was going to be a Harvest Moon game. I was like, is this a remake of a previous one? Because many people know the Harvest Moon it's Story of Seasons. It's the same franchise. So I didn't know if this was a new game or if Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons are splintering into their own thing, or what's even going on with the Harvest Moon multiverse at this point. So this one confused me a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is like I think Story of if I'm not mistaken, somebody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong. I think
Please
Story
do.
of Seasons is the like it's the same franchise, but Story of Seasons I think is the like more old school Harvest Moon sort of stuff, be it the remakes
Mm-hmm.
or the old school style, and then Harvest Moon is like the more modern, interpretation, like actually pushing the series forward. I think that's what it is. I could be totally wrong about that, but in any case, Harvest Moon: The Winds of Anthos also released this week. We finally, after a bit of a delay, finally got Rise of the Triad Ludicrous Edition, which I kind of want to play. Speaking of boomer shooters, I think it looks kind of fun, so I wouldn't mind playing it.
Move, get out the way.
Yeah, that ludicrous.
That
Yeah.
ludicrous.
It was at like LRG3, and it was supposed to come out like pretty soon after LRG3, and then it got like sort of unceremoniously delayed, and now it's finally out. So it looks over the top and fun. I'd like to play it.
Yeah. And lastly, we have another EA sports game dropping on the Nintendo Switch, or did drop on the Nintendo Switch this week. We have EA Sports FC 24. So for all of our soccer fans out there, here's another game that more than likely we would probably urge you to avoid.
Well, here's the thing. This one's significant because this is so EA and FIFA parted ways. And so EA no longer has the FIFA license. FIFA's going to do like their own thing. So EA basically had to make a new soccer game, and this is it. And to coincide with that, they've also had to use a new engine for it. So this release on now, who's to say that the following years won't just be
exactly
legacy editions, but at least this first entry is its own thing with a brand new engine, and it is a brand new game. So I don't know if you're a soccer fan on Nintendo Switch. I don't know how it runs or anything like that. I
would be interested. Would be interested. Obviously, when it comes to sports simulators, we have talked every year about how the FIFA 20, whatever year literally just says on the eShop, no significant gameplay changes from the previous year. And a large part of that has to do with being a sports sim on the Nintendo Switch. So with this being a new engine, I don't know how much of this new engine was developed with the Nintendo Switch in mind. I would be interested to hear how it runs. I do have a sinking feeling in my gut that it might be another Mortal Kombat 1 situation, but if it runs well, I hope all the soccer fans, all the football fans on the Nintendo Switch, I hope you guys have a really good game on this platform to enjoy finally. I really do hope it's good.
Yeah, me too. But that's what we got. That's the notable releases. A bunch of stuff this week and a couple of weird,
so much stuff,
news stories to boot. Yeah.
I mean, it's that time of year, man. The weirdness is cropping up. We're just a couple days away from spooky season, so you can maybe expect some more stuff like this. But I mean, what have you guys been up to this past week? What do you guys think about all the stories going on? Were you able to somehow get your hands on a Pikachu gray felt hat card? Were you, are you a member of a football team in FC 24? I don't know where I was going with that.
All right.
It's Friday night, guys, but let us know. Reach out to us on Facebook at All In Podcast, on Twitter at All In Podcast. Come join our amazing, fantastic Discord community over in the Discord. Also, make sure to check out the YouTube channel. If you're here watching us live right now, go ahead and click the bell, notification, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're watching the VOD after the fact, you can literally do the same thing. It takes the exact same amount of time. But make sure to follow us on YouTube because, as Seth has already attested to, we're always dropping new videos, new content worth checking out, especially all the exclusive content that we post for our patrons, my friend.
We do at patreon.com/allinpodcast. Exclusive content goes up there every single week. everything from spoiler cast to exclusive
Ooh.
podcasts that go up there every week. I just put up a spoiler cast, the audio of which went up exclusively for patrons. So you never know what might crop up over there. You can get a 7-day free trial to the Golden Banana tier and find out for yourself. You can also grab some merch at bit.ly/allinmerch if you want to support this show monetarily. That is very, very much appreciated. But entirely for free if you're listening to us on the audio feed, you can leave us that quick 5-star rating. That's appreciated as well. The likes, the comments, and all that on YouTube are appreciated and helps get our show in front of the people who need to see it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure to do all of that stuff that Seth just said. And especially with some of the content we released on the Patreon this week, might be time to cash in that free trial. We think you guys will think
a lot of
it's
stuff.
worth it. Lots of stuff. But to everybody who does check out that free trial on Patreon, to all of our patrons that have been with us for all this time, for everybody who drops words, for everybody who has just shared a piece of our content around the internet, and to the people who have picked up a piece of our merch at bit.ly/allinmerch, to all of you, every single one of you out there, you all are absolute legends. Namaste.
Namaste. That's news, everybody. Appreciate everybody who came out. Sean Capri was in the chat. Phelan was in the chat. Stingray X was here. We had Bowser was here. Whole bunch of people here tonight. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all very much. Brand new episode, of course, of All In, a Nintendo podcast drops tomorrow, just as it does every Saturday. In tomorrow's episode, we're going to have the top 5 games that need the 99 treatment. So that's a fun list. We're going to do an indie showcase on Shovel Knight Dig to celebrate its first anniversary, and to celebrate the 15th anniversary, we're doing a retrospective on Wario Land Shake It. So fun episode. Links are in the video description if you want to check out that podcast that, again, drops tomorrow. So,
yes.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But until next week, we'll see you later. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Happy Friday. Have a great weekend, everybody.